Hello students, today in this video we are going to study about moving coil galvanometer. So before moving to its diagram, first of all we should know what is moving coil galvanometer and on what principle it is working. As the name suggests that it is a galvanometer that consists of a coil which is moving. So that's the definition of moving coil galvanometer. Basically, galvanometer is a device that is used to detect a current in a circuit. And when we talk about moving coil galvanometer, so it is a kind of galvanometer that is used to detect current in a circuit by the help of a coil that carries current and rotate due to the presence of a magnetic field. Means moving coil galvanometer consists of a current carrying coil that rotates in a magnetic field because of the torque acting in it. As we have studied in the previous video that whenever we have a current carrying coil placed in a magnetic field, a torque acts on that coil due to which that coil starts rotating. So similarly here in the moving coil galvanometer we have a coil that carries current, and if we want to detect the current, that means कि whenever that coil will carry current, it deflects or it rotates, and that deflection or that angular deflection we observed and we detect the current using that deflection. Okay, means whenever there is a current in the coil, it will rotate or there will be some deflection that we can observe and show that there is current in the coil. If there is no current, no torque act on that coil, because of which it shows no deflection and there is no current. Okay, so deflection is equivalent to the presence of current that works in the galvanometer. So moving coil galvanometer, basically it is a galvanometer that is used to detect current in a circuit, and it consists of a current carrying coil. Okay, so it consists of a current carrying coil that rotates, or rotation, or we can say that moves. Okay, but basically it is a rotation that rotates in a magnetic field, it rotates in a magnetic field because of the torque acting on it. All right, so moving coil galvanometer is actually a galvanometer that is used to detect a current in a circuit, and it consists of a current carrying coil that rotates or moves in a magnetic field because of the torque acting on it. Since it consists of a coil which is rotating or moving, that's why it is named as a moving coil galvanometer. So moving coil galvanometer is a galvanometer which is used to detect the current, and it consists of a current carrying coil that rotates or moves in the presence of a magnetic field because there is some torque acting on it. Now if we talk about its principle, so its principle is very simple. We have studied that whenever a current carrying coil placed in a magnetic field experience a current डिपेंडेंट टॉर्क, मीन्स जब भी हमारे पास एक कॉइल होगा that carries current and it is placed in a magnetic field, so there will be some torque acting on that coil because of the current flowing in that. We have also find the formula for that in the previous video, that tau torque is equal to NIAB sine theta. Okay, so what we have there is a current dependent torque whenever we have a coil carrying current placed in a magnetic field, and because of that torque it tends to rotate and produce angular deflection, and we observe that angular deflection to show whether the current is flowing in the circuit or not. So its principle is a current carrying coil placed in a magnetic field experiences a current dependent torque. Means जो torque मिलेगा that will be dependent on current dependent torque, which tends to rotate that coil and produce angular deflection. This is the principle of moving coil galvanometer. Means whenever we have a current carrying coil placed in a magnetic field, it experiences a current dependent torque. The torque that is acting on the coil depends on the current flowing in the coil, and this torque tends to rotate the coil and produce some angular deflection, and we observe this angular deflection to show whether there is current or not in the circuit. Okay, now we know that what is moving coil galvanometer, uska kaam kya hai, and on what principle it is working. So now let's move to its construction. When we talk about construction, we have to see the diagram. Okay, so let's move to its diagram. Here is the diagram of moving coil galvanometer. So here we have a coil. This is the coil having soft iron cylindrical core. Okay, in moving coil galvanometer we have a coil having soft iron cylindrical core, and this coil is consist of a fine insulated copper wire, okay, wound on a light non-magnetic metallic frame. This coil is wound on a non-magnetic light metallic frame. Now the two ends of this frame are pivoted between two bearings. The ends of this coil are pivoted between two bearings. These are the two bearings, and the motion of the coil is controlled by hairspring. Okay, so we have a pair of hairspring that control the motion of the coil. Whenever this coil rotates, so its motion is controlled by these hairspring. So we have a pair of hairspring on both sides of the coil. This hairspring is made up of phosphor bronze. These hairsprings are made up of phosphor bronze. Okay, and the ends of the spring are soldered to the two ends of the coil so that they can control the motion of that coil. These springs provide the, ये जो हमने यहाँ पे hair spring use किए हैं, these springs are actually provide the restoring torque and serve as current leads to the system. And there exists a pointer, this aluminium pointer, which is used to measure the deflection of the coil on a suitable scale. So we have a pointer and a scale. This is an aluminium pointer which is used to observe the deflection that is producing in the coil. Okay, this rectangular coil is symmetrically placed between the poles of a strong permanent magnet. This is a strong permanent magnet having concave poles, and we place this coil in between these poles of the magnet symmetrically, and a cylindrical soft iron core, a cylindrical soft iron core is mounted between these concave poles of the magnet to make the lines of force pointing along the radii of a circle. Means to get the radial magnetic field, we use this soft iron cylindrical core in the placed between the poles of the magnetic field. So because of this soft iron core, the magnetic field lines that we will get will always point towards the center of the circle, like this. Means the magnetic field we will get, these will be like this. Such lines we observe, right? North to south, and here from north we get such kind of magnetic field lines, or we call this as radial field, as they act along the radii of the circle. Okay, so let's conclude all the points that we have in the construction. क्या क्या है हमारे पास? We have a coil placed symmetrically between the permanent magnet poles north and south. These poles are concave in nature. We use soft iron core to get the radial field. Now we attach this coil with two bearings, these, a pair of bearings. Also we attach this coil with a pair of hair spring made of phosphor bronze. This pair of hair spring is used to control the motion of the coil. Okay, the coil that we are using is made up of fine insulated copper wire wound on a light non-magnetic metallic frame. Alright, so now I'm going to note down all these points, that what are the things that we use while constructing the moving coil galvanometer. So first of all, we have a coil. This coil is made up of fine insulated copper wire wound on a light non-magnetic metallic, example is aluminium, metallic frame. Now the two ends of coil, are pivoted between two jeweled bearings. Now pivoted between two jeweled bearing means there exist two jeweled bearings which actually control the rotation of that coil. Okay, then we are using a pair of hair springs made of phosphor bronze, and this is also helpful to control the motion of coil. Now after this we have a permanent magnet, and we place that coil symmetrically between the poles of the magnet. Okay, so we have a permanent magnet and we place coil symmetrically between the poles of the magnet. As we can see here, we place this coil symmetrically between the two poles north and south of the magnet, right? Next point is we also use a cylindrical soft iron core to get radial magnetic field. Radial magnetic field means by using a cylindrical soft iron core, the magnetic field lines in the system become such like that they point along the radii of a circle. Okay, so all these magnetic field lines will exist such that they act along the radius of the circle. The reason why we choose soft iron core, the material that we are using is of soft iron core. The reason for using soft iron core material is its high permeability. Okay, so we are using soft iron core because it is highly permeable. By using soft iron core, which is highly permeable, we can intensify the magnetic field, and because of that the sensitivity of galvanometer increases. Means we use soft iron core because it has high permeability, and because of its high permeability it intensifies the magnetic field, and because of that it increases the sensitivity of galvanometer. Okay, so we use a soft iron core to get the radial magnetic field. And why we need that soft iron core, the reason to choose soft iron core as a required material is because of its high permeability. Since it has high permeability, that's why it intensifies the magnetic field and increases the sensitivity of galvanometer. And highly sensitive galvanometer is good for practical purposes. Okay, so this is about the construction of the magnetic moving coil galvanometer. Let's move to its theory and working portion. Okay, how it works. So in a moving coil galvanometer, we studied that we have a coil, rectangular coil. Let us consider this as a coil and name it as PQRS. The current is flowing in the coil from P to S like this. Let this current be capital I. Sides of this coil are A and B respectively, and this coil is placed in a radial magnetic field, capital B vector. Now the radial means the plane of coil always remains parallel to the field B vector. If we talk about the area of the coil, then it will be AB, small a into small b, because it is a rectangular coil, so length into breadth is the area of that coil. And let us consider the number of turns in the coil are capital N. Okay, so what we have a coil PQRS having current capital I, sides A and B respectively, area AB, turns capital N. So this kind of coil we have in a radial magnetic field B vector. Now the word radial means along the radius, that means plane of coil always remains parallel to the field capital B vector. Okay, so the field that we are using is radial, that means the plane of coil is always remains parallel to the field B vector. Now magnetic force will act on this coil, as we have studied that whenever we have a current carrying coil placed in a uniform magnetic field, there exists torque on that coil, and actually there exist forces on each side of the coil, and because of these forces there exists a couple or a torque which try to rotate this coil. Now if we talk about the sides P, Q and RS and apply Fleming's left hand rule, then we can find that on the direction P, Q and RS there are equal, opposite and collinear forces. As we have studied in the previous video, that there exist forces like this. These forces are equal, opposite and collinear. That's why these two forces cancel out each other and their resultant is 0. These forces can be find out by using Fleming's left hand rule. So I am considering it as F1 and F3. Okay, F1, F2, F3, F4. We will consider 4 forces on each side, F1, F2, F3 and F4. First I am talking about F1 and F3. These F1 and F3, when we find by using Fleming's left hand rule, we get these as collinear and opposite and also equal. So these will cancel out each other and the resultant for these forces will be 0. Now if we talk about the forces acting on sides P, S and QR. So according to Fleming's left hand rule, on the side PS there will be a normal inward force. Okay, on the side PS there will be some inward force. We can find it by using Fleming's left hand rule, as there is magnetic field in this direction. This is B vector. This is the direction of current, and the magnetic force that will act because of this current and magnetic field will be inwards, and this force will equal to, I am talking about F4, this force will be equal to Ni small b capital B. Actually this force is NIBB sine theta, but theta is 90 degree, sine 90 will be 1, then the force will be Ni small b capital B. Now if we talk about the force acting on the side QR, the QR force, we can also find QR force by using Fleming's left hand rule, and we get that the force acting on the QR is equal to that of the force acting on PS, but this time the direction is outwards. Means the magnitude of the force F4 and F2 will be equal, but their directions are different. F4 is acting normally inwards while F2 will act normally outwards. So if we talk about F2, if this is the magnetic field, this is current, then we get F2 vector as this, means coming outwards. So F2 has magnitude again NIBB, but this F4 will act normally inwards while F2 will act normally outwards. Now since the two forces act normally inwards and outwards, so these two forces are equal and opposite and they form a couple. Because of the couple formed by these two forces, there exists a torque. Okay, so the torque that acts because of these forces or the couple of the forces is equal to force into perpendicular distance between them. The force has value NIB capital B, and the perpendicular distance between them is this. When we find it, if theta is the angle, between length and field, then this value of perpendicular distance will be A sine theta, and here theta is equal to 90 degree. To get this concept, please check the previous video once, where we have calculated this perpendicular distance completely. So we get this perpendicular distance as A sine theta, and here theta is equal to 90 degree. On solving this, we get NIB capital B A, and AB is the area, so we get NIAB. So the torque acting, that is tau, is equal to NIAB. Since theta is equal to 90 degree, sine 90 will be 1, and we can say that because the normal of the plane of coil remains perpendicular to the field B vector in all positions. So here the torque is NIBA, and this torque will deflect the coil by some angle alpha. Now when this force acts, so the coil will go like this. The side PS will go inwards and side QR will go upwards. The coil will rotate like this. That means this torque tau deflects the coil. Torque tau deflects the coil by an angle alpha. Okay, now because of this deflection, a restoring torque will set up in the coil. due to the elasticity of the spring that we have used. Since we used hair springs there, so because of those springs, restoring torque will set up in the coil because of the elasticity of the spring. Okay, now this restoring torque will depends on the angle alpha, because जितना ज़्यादा एंगल या डिफ्लेक्शन हमें मिल रहा है टॉर्क की वजह से, उतना ज़्यादा ही रिस्टोरिंग टॉर्क सेटअप होगा. दैट मीन्स द रिस्टोरिंग टॉर्क वी राइट इट एज टाउ रिस्टोरिंग depends on the angle alpha. Okay, that means we can write it as the restoring torque is equal to K alpha, where K is the torsion constant of the spring. K is known as torsion constant of the spring, and it is defined as the torque required to produce unit angular twist. If we use this formula, we can write K as tau restoring upon alpha. Okay, so tau restoring upon alpha means the torque required to produce unit angular twist. This is the angular twist. So अगर हम alpha को 1 put करते हैं, if alpha is equal to 1, that means for unit alpha जितना torque act करेगा, that is the value of K. So torsion constant of the spring can be defined as the means K can be defined as the torque required to produce unit angular twist. Okay, this is called torsion constant of the spring. Now in case of equilibrium, this restoring torque must be equal to the deflecting torque. If we talk about equilibrium, तो जितना deflection हुआ है torque की वजह से, उतना ही restoring torque coil के अंदर setup होगा. So for equilibrium, the condition for equilibrium is restoring torque is equal to deflecting torque. Okay, so restoring torque we find as K alpha and deflecting torque we find as NIBA. On solving this, we find alpha is equal to NBA I upon K. That means here NBA and K, everything is constant. That means alpha actually proportional to I. Okay, alpha is directly proportional to I. So the deflection produced in the galvanometer of the coil is directly proportional to the current flowing through it. Alpha is directly proportional to the I, current I. That means deflection जितना produce हो रहा है, that is proportional to the current I. So if we have large value of current, there will be large deflection. If we have lower value of current, then we have a less deflection. That means the instrument if have some scale with equal division along a circular scale to indicate equal steps in current, okay, and we call it as a linear scale, then it can be used to find the deflection that is depending on that current flowing in the coil. So by using this relation, we can say that the current flowing in the coil will be observed as the form of a deflection. Higher will be the current, higher will be the deflection. One more thing we can also note here, that if we rearrange this formula, we get I is equal to K upon NBA into alpha. We can write it as G alpha, where G is called, this value of G is K upon NBA, and this G is known as galvanometer constant. Okay, we call G as galvanometer constant, or we can write it as current reduction factor for that galvanometer. Current reduction factor for that galvanometer. Okay, so this was about the moving coil galvanometer, how it works, what was its principle, and how it is constructed. In next video, that will be the part 2 of this moving coil galvanometer, we will study about its figure of merit, sensitivity, and how can we convert a galvanometer into a voltmeter or ammeter. Okay, so we continue this discussion to part 2 of this video, where we will be studying about the figure of merit of a galvanometer, sensitivity of a galvanometer, its advantages, disadvantages, and how can we convert galvanometer into a voltmeter or an ammeter. So for that video, keep studying and stay tuned. Thank you.